Hey everyone. So I know it's been a while since I put up a new video. I am having a lovely retreat in New Zealand right now. And this is the fantastic cabin that I found to stay in. It has the most gorgeous view of New Zealand. It has been the most relaxing and restorative time that I've had in probably 18 months. And I just wanted to share it with you guys. So I really hope you enjoy this class. It's entirely spontaneous. It's meant to be a little bit of work and also a little bit of relaxation, kind of everything that I found in New Zealand here. And so, yeah, thankfully, the lovely hosts at the Energy Sanctuary were kind enough to allow me to film this video while I'm here and share all of this with you from the cabin I'm staying in. So, yeah, let's get started. So when you're ready, let's just start in a comfortable seat. As we work through this class today, because this is very spontaneous, you'll notice I don't have a lot of props. So this is a great moment to recognize you can still get good practicing even when you don't have the tools that you're used to having or that you'd like to have. There's always things around you can use. There's couch cushions, there's belts, there's whatever you can find. There's always something. And even if you can't find something, just finding ways that you can adapt the pose to make it more comfortable, to make it fit your body and your needs in this moment. So wherever you are, just find a comfortable spot to sit. And as you start to settle into your spot, let your eyes close. Your hands rest on your knees. And as you start to find your breath here, notice the parts of the body that expand easily, parts of the body that don't. And rather than wiggling and trying to force the parts of the body that don't want to move, just recognizing that they're maybe in need of a little bit more love, a little bit more nurturing. And starting to tune into the world around you with your ears. Noticing the sounds that you can hear. Maybe you can hear the wind outside if you've got your windows open. You're inside. Maybe you hear the crackling of a fire. Maybe you hear the sounds of your family or the steps of your pets. And as you notice all of these things, start to find the energy in each of them. Start to tap into the meaning of the wind, how it helps the world around us to move, how it helps nature to find balance, allows the birds to fly, brushes the dirt off the trees. If you've got a fire, maybe noticing the crackling of the fire as it provides heat. It puts energy into the room to keep you warm and comfortable. It's your family, taking a moment just to appreciate them, to appreciate their existence. And if it's your pets, just taking a moment to smile at how they don't really care what you're doing. And on your next breath, pull a big, deep breath in and breathe in all that energy around you. And as you exhale, open your mouth and let some of your energy go. Again, breathe in. Open your mouth. And then just let your breath settle. Coming back into your own body. Noticing the energy in the places that move easily. Notice the freedom, ease. And then start to notice the places that don't move as easily. Feel the difference in the energy in these two places. I want you to remember throughout your class today, the places where you feel that free energy and the places where you don't. And see if you can think about finding some balance there. Maybe creating a little bit of control around those places that move very freely and directing some of that freedom to the places that are a little more tense. Now, it's a nice metaphor to think about the energy of all of this. There is a physical, musculoskeletal reason for this thought as well, which is that if we're too mobile in one place, we don't have the stability we need to create the mobility in the tight places. So this works from an energetic, metaphorical perspective, and it has some sense of grounding in the musculoskeletal fundamentals of the body. So whichever side of that works for you, just take a moment to consider it. So what happens if you take the places where your breath is very free and you create just a little bit of constriction? And start to notice how keeping that constriction as you continue to inhale and exhale, not to the point of stopping your breath, just lightly, how other things start to move. So already we're starting to bring balance into our body. On your next inhale, we're going to circle the arms up to the sky. Reaching up nice and tall, extending the fingers, lengthening through both sides of the body. Draw your ribs in gently. Then lower the left hand towards the floor. We're just going to lean gently to the left, starting to open up the right side of the body. Maybe you turn your head up a little bit, gently opening across the chest. Then bring yourself back upright, both arms towards the sky. Take the right arm, bring it down to the side, and then gently lean to the right, opening up the left side of the body. Then bring yourself back upright, both arms towards the sky. Now we're going to lean to the left. We're not going to bring the left arm down. So I'm just trying to lengthen out the right side. And as I go over, there's a tendency to want to fall into our bodies. Try to lengthen your chest out and up, but also keep the ribs drawn down and in so that we're finding that balance, that counter pull to help us find stability. And then bring it back. Take a breath. Lean to the right, keep the right arm lifted. So we're really starting to wake up a little bit of our tummy muscles, a little bit of our side body, and a little bit of our spinal stabilizers. Take a breath. And bring it back. Let both hands come down by your sides. Roll the shoulders up. Just lift them up to the ears and let them drop back. This doesn't have to be the absolute biggest circle in the world. It's just comfortable. Just a comfortable circle. And then switch directions, go the other way. Elbows come forward. Our shoulders come forward. And then lift your shoulders, just relax. Draw your chin down towards your chest. And then bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. Bring your chin towards your chest. And bring your right ear towards your right shoulder. Bring your chin down towards your chest and then lift your head back. Let's bring it around onto hands and knees. So however you want to get there. I'm on a nice soft carpet underneath my yoga mat. So if your knees need a little padding, find a blanket around you or maybe a really soft pillow, something to give your knees a little comfort here. Untuck the toes, tops of the feet, press into the floor. Hands push down. We're just going to start with a basic cat-cow. So I'm going to lift my belly, round my back, start to find that cat stretch. Now, as you come up into your cat stretch, make sure that you're not pulling with the back of your legs or your bum. So I don't want to be tucking my butt under as tight as I can. I want to be thinking about lifting my belly to press my back up. The pelvis tipping is just a result of the spine lifting. Keep the shoulders wide. Press all 10 fingers into the floor. And just let the head drop. Take a breath. And lengthen the spine back out. Pull from your tailbone. So it feels like I'm folding at the front of my hips. The tailbone's reaching up and back, but I'm not shifting back. I'm staying balanced over my knees. That's what's going to start to create that arch in the back, that extension. Roll it up through your chest, and then your eyes definitely don't need to look forward towards your wall. That would create a little bit too much in my neck. So I'm just looking at about the end of my yoga mat here. Take a breath in. And then see if you can start right from your belly. Gently lift your spine, bottom of the ribs pulling up. You're pressing this spot right in the middle of the back, base the ribs towards the sky. Should really activate your core, trying to keep the legs relaxed, pressing down into the floor for a little bit of support. And then lengthen the spine out, fold at the hips, and ripple up through your spine, all the way up to the top, pulling the chest forward. Let's do that one more time. Belly button lifts, round the back, press the hands and the tops of the feet into the floor. And then lengthen the spine back out, tailbone reaches back. Heart reaches forward, shoulders are nice and wide. And then just bring it back to center. Holding in the center, we're going to tuck our toes. And we're going to start to work on a little bit of spinal stability here. So with the toes tucked, I'm going to take just my let's do my left side first. I'm just going to lift my left arm up. And the first thing I'm going to do is just barely lift my hand off the ground. What I'm trying to do here is make sure that my ribs don't drop and twist, that I don't side bend, right? So for example, if I was doing this poorly, I would drop my shoulder and twist my back, right? I want to keep my ribs and hips aligned and just float that left hand up. Hold it for one more breath. And then set it down. And then right away, we'll go to the other side. I'm just going to lift my right hand up, trying to keep my pelvis and my ribs balanced. Your obliques are really doing a lot of this work here to support your spine and your back to keep you from rotating and side bending. Bring the right hand down. Just start to go side to side. I like to exhale as I lift my hand and inhale to lower. And exhale to lift and inhale to lower. And as you're moving, sort of creating this little flow from one side to side, it's really a lot easier to feel those little shifts and micro adjustments that happen. And you can really start to feel your core working hard to keep you nice and balanced as you transition from one side to the other. Now, we do want our spine and our back and our ribs and our hips to all be able to rotate when we do things like walking, as we shift from one leg to the other, but we don't want to overdo it. So this is an artificial exercise designed to help create some counter stability. This is not how we want to move in regular life. Okay. So the next time I get to my left hand in a second here, I'm going to start to make it a little bit more challenging. I'm going to take my left arm, and instead of just lifting it up, I'm going to reach it forward. Now, this is too much, and what you want to do is just keep doing that little lift. Feel free to do that. If you want something a little more challenging, you're going to take that left arm, reach it out. My thumb is pointed up towards the sky, and then bring the left hand out. And we're going to switch sides, lifting the right arm. My thumb is pointed up towards the sky, and bring it down. Keep moving from one side to the other. Arm lifts, and bring it down. So as we're lifting the arm, the upper back is wanting to extend a little bit. And as we do that, it challenges us to keep those ribs engaged, because what's going to happen is that we're going to want to drop the ribs down and forward. So we got to keep that support for our back against the lift of the arm. That's what makes this a super fun exercise for our core as well as our upper back. So hopefully we're getting a little bit warm here. I'm definitely getting a little bit warm here because I decided to put myself right in this beautiful sunlight. But even if you're not standing in the middle of the sunlight right now, hopefully you're getting a little bit of warmth in your body. Let's go one more time each side. Reaching up and out. And bring it down. Both hands to the floor, tuck the toes, take it up and back, find your down dog. Just stretch it out for a moment here. Grounding into all of the fingers, grounding into the toes, soften the knees, and extend the tailbone up and back. And as you pull your tailbone up and back, widen the shoulders. Push them to the sides of the room as you push down into the hands. You might feel like your scapula, your shoulder blades rotate a little bit as you do that. That's great. They're supposed to rotate as well as lift here. And then try to relax the head. One more breath. And bring the knees back down to the ground. All right. From here, we're going to pull the knees forward. We're going to tuck the toes. We're just going to do a little bit of some leg strengthening here. So I'm going to start to walk my hands back. I'm just going to roll back so that I'm on my toes. Okay. I want my heels lifted. And I'm going to start to lower my knees. So I'm really trying to work the bottoms of my feet here. Want my heels directly up over my toes as much as possible. And if you can, I don't know if I can get there today, you guys, but maybe you bring your hands onto your quads just above your knees. And I'm not pushing, I'm just resting. And maybe if you can get your hands there, maybe you start to find some balance and lift your chest up. So when we're here, I want to think about the insides of my heels reaching towards each other. I want to make sure that I'm not letting my heels splay out. Even if your hands are on the floor, that's totally fine. Keep those heels reaching together. We're trying to strengthen the bottom of our feet. You may also feel your glutes doing a bit of work here. It's a nice little bonus. Keep your chest lifted if you're lifted. One more breath. All right, now we're going to take it back. I'm going to drop my heels down. I'm going to come into a forward fold. Let your head hang heavy. Let your heels be heavy. Now, from your forward fold, try to make sure that you're balanced, the inside and outsides of your feet, as well as between your toes and your heels. So I want to make sure that I'm not all the way outside on the outside of my toes and all the way on my toes, right? I want to plant all corners of my feet. Take a breath here. Now we're going to bend the knees. Bend them as deeply as you can, still keeping that weight balanced on your heels and your toes. You're going to feel your quads work right away. That's great. So wherever you are, That's going to be the bottom of your chair pose today. So my toes and my heels can stay grounded here. My knees are bent. This is my chair pose. I'm going to keep my legs right where they are, my butt right where it is, and just lengthen my spine up so that now I've got that support from my belly, just like we had on hands and knees. My ribs are drawing in, not so much that I curve my back, but just enough to support it. And bring the hands to heart center. Remember, this is your practice. If at any time you need to come out of something, listen to your body. Okay, take a breath. And then as you exhale, drop the upper body back down, straighten the legs, push the heels towards the sky. Okay, keep the feet grounded, bend the knees. Maybe you can get down a little bit deeper this time. Really find that fold at the front of the ankles. Wherever you are, that's where the legs and the glutes stay. Lift your chest. Support from your belly without curving your back. So I've still got that fold here at the front of my hips, the reach back through my tailbone. Maybe you bring your hands to heart center. Wherever your hands are, make sure that your shoulders still have that same feeling pulling wide to the sides of the room that we talked about in downward dog. So I don't want to cram my shoulders back because that shoves my chest forward. And I don't want to curl them forward because that rounds my back. I want to think wide, balanced, centered. Abs supporting the ribs, shoulders wide, upper back working, neck long. I know your legs are on fire. Hold it for one more breath. And then lower yourself back down. Whew. Press the legs. Feel how much more space you're starting to get in your body in your forward fold. Take one more breath. One more time. So again, bend your knees. Maybe you can get a little deeper. Stop where your heels and your toes are all connected to the floor. Lift your chest, find your chair pose. Take a couple breaths. Feel your quads definitely warming up by now. All right, we're gonna take both arms. If you'd like, you can start to reach them out nice and long. So my shoulders are wide. I'm lengthening my arms forward. I'm still keeping my ribs drawn in. Whew. Big breath. And then release it back to the floor. Whew. Straighten out the legs, let the head hang. Walk the hands forward. Walk the feet back. We're going to open up the front body for a moment. Let's find our plank pose. So in plank, I want to make sure my hands are under my shoulders. If all the way up here is too much on your back, please do this on your knees. Listen to your body. Whatever it says is appropriate. So knees are totally fine. Toes are totally fine. But wherever you are, you want to think about a long line from wherever you're connected to the floor up through your shoulders. Okay, draw the ribs in gently without tucking and rounding the tail. Shoulders pushing wide. Hopefully there's a lot of heat in your body right now. One more breath. Now we're just going to do 3 push-ups. We can do this all together. Bend the elbows a little bit and press up. 2 more push-ups. Bend your elbows a little bit, shoulders wide, and press up. I told you there's going to be a little bit of work. One more. Bend the elbows, little tiny push-up. Press it up. And then slowly lower yourself to the floor. Bring the knees down first if you need to. Hands into the floor. Lift your chest. Whew. Press your spine up. Shoulders wide. Big breath in. Exhale, lower yourself back down to the floor. Okay. We're going to take a moment here on the floor. We're going to do a little bit of work through the back of our legs. So I'm going to bring my hands down so that they're just under my forehead here. I'm going to bend my left knee. Now, if you're not me, I would look your face straight down unless you're looking at the computer to try to get an idea of what we're doing. But I'm going to turn my head to the side so that you can hear me. So I'm going to bend my left knee and I'm going to squeeze my heel towards my butt. Now, as I squeeze my heel in, there's a tendency for my hip to want to sort of pop and rise up, right? You'll feel that lift there. So what we want to do is we want to create some length in the front of the hip. So I'm going to keep my hip down. As I bend my left knee, I'm only going to go as far as my left hip will stay connected to the earth. That means I have to push a little bit from my butt And now I'm getting some glute and some hamstring work. So I'm going to hold that. And if you're getting a little bit of some cramping here, right, that's okay. Try to breathe through it. The crampings tell you that the muscle is a bit long, but not very strong. So we want to build some strength and some support there. Okay, let that leg come back down. Same thing, other side, I'm going to bend my right knee. I'm keeping my right hip pressed into the floor. And then as I bend that knee, I'm feeling this squeeze, the press forward from the glute, and the pull from the hamstrings. The whole back of my leg has to work to do this. Take a breath and lower it down. Now, if you've done this with me in some of our other classes, we use a strap. If you've got a strap handy, go for it. You can wrap the strap around the foot and gently pull with the arm. Remember that the arm is an assist. It's not doing everything for you if you're doing that version. So either way, we're back on the left side. We're squeezing the heel to the glute, trying to keep the foot pointed so my toe is reaching towards the top of my head. That helps get the hamstring a little bit more. And then lower that left leg down, going back to the right side, bend the knee, keep the toes pointed, press the hip forward into the floor as you squeeze the heel. Whew. 2 more breaths. And lower that leg down. Okay, we're gonna go back to the left side. I'm gonna bend the knee. And this time I'm gonna flex my foot. And I wanna release my leg until my heel is more or less over my knee. This is gonna be a harder place to hold. Now all of a sudden that hip wants to lift more. So I really gotta find the glute to push the hip forward. I'm gonna keep this nice and balanced. I'm gonna start to lift that left knee off the ground a little and then lower. Lift it a little and lower. So some people call these mule kicks. If you've ever seen a mule kick, kind of like this. But what we want to work on here is making sure that there's no rotation happening in the ribs and the back. So I want my ribs and my hips to stay nice and stable as I'm lifting and lower that left leg. That may mean I have a smaller range of motion, but it also means that range of motion is a lot harder. So I'm getting more work in a more stable range. Let's do 3 more. And down. 2 more. And lower. And last time. And down. Okay, we've got 1 more side to do. So we're going to bend that right knee. Flex the foot this time. Find a spot where that right foot feels more or less over the knee. Can't exactly see my legs, so I'm guessing. And then we're going to press that right foot up and lower it down. And press it up and lower it down again. I'm checking in that I'm not rotating in my ribs and my back. If you need to put your hands on your back and your ribs, if that feels okay for your neck, go for it. Try that. See what you learn by connecting more to your own body. Okay, we've got 5 more. Almost there. And down. And 4. And 3. Remembering it's not about perfect. It's about practice. 2. And 1. And bring that leg down. Let it come to the floor. Ooh, take a second. Press the hands into the floor. Roll the spine up. Push it back. Find your downward facing dog. Reaching the tailbone up and back. Stretching out the back of the legs after we just did a bit of work there. And then we're going to roll the spine forward. Find that plank again. Pressing down into the hands, wide through the shoulders, lift through the belly, back through the feet. Imagining that you could reach your heels to one side of the room and your head to the other side of the room. And then fold at your hips, push with your arms, hinge, and bring it back into your down dog. Take a big breath. And then again, bring it forward. Lengthen the spine forward. Find your plank pose. Take another breath. Fold at the hips. Take it back to your downward dog. Okay, 1 more time here. Bring it forward. Find your plank pose. Putting some weight through the arms. Again, you can always come down to your knees if you need to. And then exhale, press it up and back. Keeping our downward dog this time, we're going to work on that anti-twisting, that Stabilizing between the ribs and the hips. I'm going to take my left leg and reach it up towards the sky. Now, my left leg does not point straight up to the sky. For most of us, our leg is not going to point straight up to the sky. My leg is lifting as much as I feel like my ribs and my pelvis can stay connected and balanced so that I'm not twisting and side bending in my upper body to try to create a lift in my lower body. And the longer you stay here, the more you might start to feel that left leg drift up. One more breath here. And then we're going to pull that left knee in towards our chest, holding it up nice and tight. So we're in a 3-point plank with a rounded back. I'm purposely finding a cat stretch and pulling my knee in. Okay, we're going to take that left leg up and back again. Reach it high. See if you can find that anti-twist through the ribs and the hips. And then exhale, find a cat stretch. Pull your knee in towards your chest. One more time on this side. We're going to reach it back nice and long through the spine. Maybe you're getting a little bit more lift now with that leg, but notice if you're being able to keep the spine more stable. And then bring that right foot down. Let's take a second, bring the knees down. Take a breath. Give the hands a moment. If you need to, come back, circle out your wrists for a second. I know that's a long time on our wrists. Good news is we've got one more side, and then we're going to stay out of our downward dog for a few minutes. So bring your hands back to the floor, tuck the toes, lift the tail up and back. Okay, as you're ready, we're going to take that right leg, start to lift it up towards the sky. Again, find that anti-rotation. Can you keep the ribs and hips square to each other? Not worrying about how high your leg goes. Take a breath. And then start to shift your upper body forward, round your back, and pull your right knee up into your chest. Press down into the floor, pull up at your belly. And then reach that right leg up and back. Find a nice long line. Balance between the ribs and the hips. And then exhale, round your back as you pull your knee in. Nice and strong. This is the last time you have to do this one. Big breath. Exhale, press the right leg up and back. Nice long line through the spine. And bring your right foot down to the floor. Bring the knees down to the floor. Take the toes together, knees wide, and just drop it back into child's pose for a moment here. From your child's pose, slowly start to walk yourself back up. Let's bring the knees together. Keep the toes pointed back. We're going to stretch out the tops of the feet for a moment now. So I'm going to start to walk my hands up my thighs. You can absolutely stay as far forward as you need to. Hands can stay on the ground. We're going to start to roll the spine back. Lift the chest up, shoulders wide. Feeling the stretch at the tops of the feet. If you want more stretch, you can lean it back a little bit. If you start to float those knees up, you will feel that you get a deeper stretch through the front of the foot. Obviously, listen to your ankles. If you have any kind of ankle issues, maybe don't go too far back. And then bring your spine upright again. Come forward, tuck the toes. Roll it back. Find that spot where your toes and heels all connect into the earth. Okay, just like we kind of started with those chair poses, we're going to start the same. So toes and heels all pressing into the floor. Start to roll the spine up. Find your chair pose. Upper body nice and long. Bring your hands to heart center. Now from here, I just want you to come up to standing, but very slowly. So I'm going to press my feet down. And that pressing of the feet down helps me lift my upper body up, right? And if I find that press and hold it, stay active, you can feel the glutes and the legs really helping to hold you up nice and tall here. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to shift my weight onto my left side just a little bit, just a teeny tiny shift. Ribs and hips still staying connected. And then my right foot's going to start to roll up. As my right foot's rolling up, right, it's becoming more and more weightless. My left side is starting to support me. As you feel stable, maybe that right foot starts to lift. If I'm lifting, it's a fold at my front of my right hip to help me float that leg up. And if you're staying here with just your toe on the ground, that's totally fine. That input, that sensory input can really help our balance. As long as you're feeling that left leg working, you're doing the exercise. Take a breath. And then set the right foot down. Okay, it's next to the left foot. Come back into your chair pose again. Find that grounding through the front and back of your foot. Once you feel grounded, abs are on to support you. You're going to start to press the floor away to stand up. If you do weightlifting, it's like you're doing that leg press machine, right? And then I'm holding myself here. I'm not relaxing. I'm keeping all of that energy. I'm going to press down harder through my right foot now. Weight shift just a teeny bit to the right, keeping the ribs and hips nice and balanced. Start to lift the heel. So I'm starting by just taking some of the weight out of my left leg, letting it start to fold at the front of the hip. And then once I've found my balance, my right leg is on fire, but maybe I'm going to start to float that left leg up. And as I float, it's a fold at the hip, ribs and hips stay balanced. If you haven't noticed, the theme of today's class is ribs and hips stay balanced. They stay connected. They prevent us from rotating and twisting when we don't want to. Okay, take a breath. Bring that left leg back down to the floor and bring yourself back down into chair pose. Okay, you get a couple more chances at this. We're going to do it a couple more times. You have the option of continuing to move through at this pace. So if you like the stand, balance, shift, start to lift, go for it. If you want to do something a little bit more challenging, here's what we're going to do. So from my chair pose, my grounding through both feet, I'm going to ground through that left leg. I'm not going to twist at all as I do it. I'm going to ground. I'm going to start to lift my right leg down here. And then I'm just going to use my left leg to power myself up into standing with my right leg already lifted. Hold it for a breath, however you got here. And then if you're doing it the more challenging way, I'm going to keep my right leg lifted. I'm going to come back into that chair pose, just bending my left leg until my right foot is just on the ground. And then we're just going to weight shift from here into the right side. Lift the left foot first. Power up to standing with your right leg. Again, if this is too much, go back to the stand, then lift model, okay? Take a breath. And bend your knee. Sink back into that chair pose. Left toes will come to the ground. And then that left foot just sinks. Okay, we're going to do it 2 more times each side. Take a breath. Press into your left. If you're standing, go ahead and stand. Float your right leg. And then press up, power up, nice and tall. Big breath in. Exhale, bring yourself back down to chair pose, single leg or double leg. Right foot comes down. Okay. And then left side. Lift the left foot. Find your strength in your right. Power it up. Hold it nice and tall. Sink back down. Left foot comes to the floor. Okay, 1 more time each side. You're almost there. Maybe float that right foot. Whew. Press down with the left foot nice and tall. Maybe you expand your arms all the way up towards the sky. Big breath. Bring yourself back down. Foot to the floor. Second side. Lift that left foot if you can. Ooh, power up with your right nice and tall. Maybe you extend your arms to the sky. And bring it back down. Find your chair pose, hold your chair pose just for one last moment. One more little burn on those quads, big breath. Bring the upper body down, press the legs up, let the upper body hang. Relax through the neck and shoulders. Walk the hands out. And let's bring the knees down to the floor. Let the feet relax. And just roll yourself back. Let's find a comfortable seat. Okay, so I promised you it was a combination of work and some relaxation, so that was the work. Okay. Let's bring the bottoms of our feet together. Let's take a moment to just let our heart start to calm down. Let our mind start to calm down. And as we start to shift from the yang back to the yin, we don't let go of everything we learned. We take what we learned in our yang and we put it into our yin so that we can start to relax more, to slow down more. Having support allows us to slow down more. So I'm going to take that support that I've built between my ribs and my hips. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to start to fold at my hips. And I like to rock a little bit side to side because sometimes you got to kind of move some of the tissues out of the way on the backside. But I want to find that sense of support between my ribs and my hips as I fold at the front of the hips here. And you'll find what feels good to your body. But to start with, I'm not rounding, right? I'm keeping a nice long spine here. Shoulders are wide. You might feel a little bit of work between your shoulder blades here. Taking a breath. And then on your next exhale, start to let the spine go forward. I don't have to think down. Gravity does a great job of pulling us down. I'm going to think forward, and I'm just going to relax the work against gravity, and that will naturally take me down without shortening you, without curling. Okay? Now, if you have some props around you, lots of things can be helpful here. Sometimes I'll put a block on my feet. Sometimes I'll put a blanket on my feet. If you've got something, great. If you don't, I'm just going to put my forearms on my feet and settle for this is as far as I'm going to get to go today. But wherever you are, maybe let the head hang if you can. Let's start to notice the thoughts in the mind. If there's anything that you were struggling with in your practice today, anything that felt like more of a struggle than you would have liked it to, seeing if you can just acknowledge the struggle. It's okay to struggle. We could just do it all perfectly. We wouldn't need to practice. And the practice is the point. Coming back to the practice, trying it again, gives us the opportunity to learn both about the thing we're doing and about ourselves, about how we meet with struggle and challenge, how we respond to it, and how we can grow from it. So maybe you found a little struggle in your practice today, and that's good. That's how you know that you are opening yourself up to new things, to new challenges, to growth. Slowly start to roll your spine up. We're going to take the right leg. I'm going to pull it underneath myself. So my right knee is pointed straight towards you. It's more or less in line with my chest. Sorry, this is my left leg. So my left leg is down. My left knee is more or less in line with my sternum, with the center of my rib cage here. And I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to bring it to the outside of my left knee. And I'm going to acknowledge that I struggle with left and right. And that is one of my moments of growth. Okay, so lengthening your spine up nice and tall, as though you could pull from the top of your crown up towards the ceiling. And feeling how that length is going to help us twist. So when I twist, I don't want to go down. I want to twist and I want to spiral upwards. So I'm going to think about my spine rotating to the right. And as I rotate to the right, I'm thinking about my sternum up, my shoulders wide. And that's actually going to help me find a slightly deeper twist. And I know we did all this anti-twisting today, right? But twisting is good. Our spines are meant to have some twist and some side bend and some flex. So remembering that the things we practice in class are exercises. They're meant to help us become stronger. They're meant to help us learn about ourselves and our bodies. But they're not necessarily how we want to live, right? We don't want to live in exercises. Taking one more breath here. And bring yourself back to center. And we'll just switch our legs. So now my right leg is on the floor. My right knee is in line with my sternum. My left foot's going to come to the outside of my right knee. And again, I'm going to take a moment, settle the hips into the floor, lengthen the spine up nice and tall, top of the head reaching up towards the sky. And then when you're ready, gently rotating, pulling the ribs around to the left side. But again, that spiral goes up as I twist. My shoulders are wide so that my right shoulder can't try to help me and pull me around, right? I don't really want my twisting to be a pec exercise. We did pec exercise if that's what all those plates were for. I'm trying to make sure that my right arm isn't wrenching me around either, but it's just nice and relaxed on my leg. One more breath here. And slowly bring yourself back to center. Okay, let's take the legs. We're going to reach them out nice and wide and straddle. Finding whatever feels comfortable for you now. The hamstrings can sometimes be really tight here. So if you're feeling that, get your pelvis up higher. So you can put your butt up on a folded up blanket, on a pillow, whatever you've got around you. My surface is nice and soft, so that's giving me that luxury, but let your knees be soft, okay? So that they're not pressing down into the floor. I don't want to stretch the ligaments at the back of my knee. I want to loosen the tension in the muscles of my thighs, of the front and the back of my thighs, okay? So be nice to your knees. Lift your spine up nice and tall. And we're going to start with that twist again. So I'm going to go to the right. And as I go to the right, I want to, again, make sure I'm not twisting down. I want to lengthen my spine up as I twist. So I'm pulling a little bit from my core to draw me around. And wherever you go is fine. So most of us are not going to get to a spot where our sternum points towards our knee. We're not trying to be contortionists. We're just trying to have comfortable mobility in our body. So my sternum is a little bit in front of my foot. Great. Wherever your sternum is, that's where I want you to go. So I'm going to lengthen out of that point and take my chest forward. It means that my right hand is definitely in front of my right leg, and that's totally fine. Okay, breathe into your back. So I'm opening up through the inside of my left thigh here, the back of my right, and through the left side of my back. Now I do want to take a moment here and check that my ribs aren't side bending to the right. Okay, I don't want to squish my lower right ribs. I want to keep them nice and long here. So I'm thinking about that length between my rib and my hip on my right side. Counterintuitive, right? Because we're stretching the left. But you'll feel that if you keep that right side long, you actually get sort of a more even stretch on the left side. It feels like it comes down a bit lower, gets into some of the tissues of the lower back, not just in between the ribs here. Taking a couple more moments to breathe here, and remembering that our lungs actually come all the way down into this part of the ribs. And you can feel that if you put your left hand on your ribs and breathe. You can feel that expansion all the way down there. And so come back to that idea, balancing your energy, moving it around. And see if maybe you can breathe a little bit less in your chest and send a little bit more of that breath to the lower side of the back. We're going to take the hands, we're going to walk them towards center. So we're reaching forward in our straddle for a moment here, finding some balance between both sides. And then walk the hands in towards you to roll the spine up. Okay, we'll do that same thing to the left side. So I'm going to lengthen up through my spine, twist to the left. And again, I don't want to twist down, right? I want to twist up. I want to get taller each time I twist. And then as I twist, I'm making sure that I'm not shearing, right? I want my ribs to stay more or less balanced. And I just want to rotate through center. All right, now once you find that rotation, you may notice your left side is different to your right side. So my left side does not go anywhere near as far as my right side did. And I'm just going to be okay with that for today. So I want to see if I take my arms straight forward so that my hands represent either side of my chest. That's my angle. That's what I'm going for. So wherever that is, I'm going to put my hands on the ground. And I'm just going to go forward from there. Okay, so I'm trying to listen to my body when it tells me this is as far as you're going to twist, because that means I'm getting a better twist and moving through the center. I'm distributing the twist more evenly through my body. And over time, maybe it'll balance out a little bit and I'll get to go a little bit further, but I'm not going to worry about it today. I'm just going to respect that this is where I am. So taking a couple of moments here as you breathe in, noticing how your left side is different to your right. So I feel this through my right inner thigh, through the back of my left hamstring, and then through the right side of the back. And check in with the left side of your body. Make sure you're not squishing those poor little left ribs. We want space on the left side, just like the right side. Maybe you bring that right hand back onto the base of the ribs and see if you can find that balance between your chest and the lower part of the rib cage. And then bring that right hand down and walk the hands back to center. Take a breath. Maybe you've got a little bit more space here in both of the thighs. Then we're going to press the hands into the floor, walk the spine. Relax the shoulders and neck. Take that right leg, sweep it around, and we're going to come back lying on the back. As we come down onto our spine, feet pressing into the floor, let's take the arms, open them out into a cactus shape. So as I find my cactus shape, I've got the shoulders heavy, the elbows heavy, and I'm trying to get my wrists heavy. Now, if you have a lack of mobility in your shoulders, you might not be able to get the hands all the way to the floor comfortably. So you can put some props under your wrist here if you've got a couple pillows or something, so that the wrists are supported, but you're not overstretching, overdoing it on your shoulders. So that's a nice little modification if you need it. Take the feet out the same width as your mat. Let your knees drop together for a moment. With the feet out and the knees together, notice the expansion that happens across the back of the pelvis. And it's subtle, right? It's not, our pelvis doesn't come apart very much. It's meant to be a very solid structure, but there's a little bit of give. So maybe notice how the tailbone starts to shift, how the sacrum starts to shift. Then walk the feet back towards center. Allow the knees to fall to the right. And as both knees fall to the right, feel that start to stretch to the left side of the hip, the left side of the back. Notice the tendency for the lower back to want to arch here, and see if you can just relax the back a little bit so that it doesn't get pulled into an arch. That pull is actually coming out of our hips. So as we start to create more space in the front of the hip, we won't get pulled quite as far. And bring the knees back up. Take a breath. And then let both knees fall to the left. Relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing through the neck. One more breath. And bring the knees back up. Same thing again, or if you want a slightly deeper twist, bring your feet all the way together. I'm going to take the left leg and cross it over the right. So I want my thigh on my thigh, okay? And then I'm going to start to roll to the right side. Again, this is the deeper version. If you don't want to do this, just keep your feet where they were, right? But if I'm in this bound position, I'm going to pull deeper through my back as my legs fall to the right. That's really important when I do this one. I don't want my right foot to move at all. So I'm just rolling my right foot to the outside, but I'm not letting it slide across my mat. It's staying in the same position on my mat. And that focuses the pull on my right leg down towards the earth. If I slide my right foot around, I'm not getting as much traction pulling my leg across me. Again, checking in and noticing any tension in the shoulders. Trying to relax that, trying to let the ribs be heavy. And then gently pull the legs back up to center. And bring the right foot down if you had it crossed. We'll do the same thing to the other side. So again, you can keep the feet wide and just let the knees fall, or if you want the deeper stretch, you can cross that right leg over the left now, going whichever direction you didn't just go. And let the legs fall over to the left side. So I'm rolling towards the bottom leg. I'm keeping that bottom foot, my left foot, in the same position, and I'm just rolling to the outside of it. Trying to relax the chest through the ribs. Once I get there, I'm even trying to relax through my legs. Trying not to hold on to too much energy here. Just a couple more breaths. And slowly rolling the legs back up. Both feet to the floor. Take a big breath, extend your arms over your head and stretch your feet down towards the other end of your mat. And just let your body relax into the floor. Let your arms come down by your sides. And as you start to allow yourself to fall into your Shavasana, take a moment to consider what it felt like to move your energy around. Find a little bit of holding back around the parts that could move too easily. Creating some support for the parts of our body that needed a little bit more nurturing. Maybe taking a moment here to reflect on how we can rebalance those energies in other parts of our lives. Holding back a little bit from the things that are too easy to fall into. Taking some of that energy and reorganizing it into the things that are a little bit more challenging. And that rebalancing is just that. It's just a small shift. And as you find your mind going on a journey during your Shavasana here, remember that the point of the mind is to think. So as we allow the body to be heavy, it's normal for the mind to become more active, or at least for us to become more aware of the activity of the mind. Just taking a few more breaths. Maybe starting to wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe deepening your breath, becoming aware of the floor around you, sounds around you. Bringing yourself back into your body, into the room. And in your own time, without rushing, bring the feet up. Roll the spine on over, coming onto one side of your body. As you're ready to start to rejoin the world around you, Coming up into a comfortable seat. And as you return to your seat, taking a moment, inhale, extend the arms up to the sky. Feel yourself connecting to the world around you. Bring your hands together and take all that energy from the world around you and bring it into your heart. Focusing on the positive energy. The negative's still there. You can't have positive without negative, but the goals right now, focus on the positive. Find the beauty in the moment. Beauty in the movement of our pets, movement of our family, sounds of the world around us. Thank you so much for taking this time to join me on my journey. Namaste.